underpins this session that we're going to have together for the next hour is a very, very simple but profound belief, and that is communication is a performance. It's a performance with the one, it's a performance with the few, and it's absolutely a performance with the many. And it really doesn't matter what the message is about. It doesn't matter whether it's a sales message. It doesn't matter whether the message that you're delivering is around influencing or persuading somebody. It really doesn't matter whether your message is around changing the thinking of somebody. It really doesn't matter if you're in front of a panel deciding whether or not you should join an organization. Therefore, from your point of view, it's a recruitment interview. It really doesn't matter what the message is about. What matters is that the delivery of that message is a performance. And there are three things that I'm going to drive into your mind today. There are three things that I want you to reflect on as this session unfolds. There are three things that I want you to be thinking about at the conclusion of this session. The first one is simply this: words alone do not communicate. Unless, of course, it's the written word, because that's all you've got. But if you're performing the word in front of the one, in front of the few, in front of the many, words alone do not communicate. Facts alone are really difficult to remember. You've got to do something with the facts. And emotion is the key to impact. Emotion is the key to differentiating yourself. Emotion is the key to persuasion, is the key to influencing, is the key to changing the way people think about your message, about you. And this, behind me, it talks about selling brand you. And here's the simple truth. Whenever you're in front of somebody, whether it's in a situation like this, whether it's with the one, whether it's with the few, irrespective of the subject matter, it's not just about the content. You are selling you. It's an opportunity for you to influence the experience somebody's going to have when they are in your presence, when they're in your company. So it could be a conversation. That is selling brand you. So throughout this, think of yourself as a brand, not somebody who has got facts to deliver, information to deliver, but think of yourself now as a brand. And what is it that characterizes a brand? Well, with a brand, you know what you're going to get. Therefore, there is a degree of consistency. With a brand, you know what the experience is going to be like. So when you go onto Amazon, you know what the experience is going to be like, don't you? There's a consistency. When you walk into McDonald's, whether you like McDonald's or not is not the point. When you walk into a McDonald's, you know what the experience is going to be. You are familiar with it. When you go into Starbucks, when you go into Pret, when you go into Costa, or any other type of brand, when that brand touches you, you know the experience you're going to get. And that has to be the same with you. When you touch people, not necessarily metaphorically, literally rather, maybe metaphorically, when you touch people, that is you giving them an experience. And you need to be aware of what that experience is, because the recipient of the experience will absolutely be aware of it. And that's what this session is really all about. Now, for us to understand about communication being a performance, we need to think about, how does the human being process information? How are you all now processing this data, this information that I'm giving to you? And for us to understand that, we just briefly need to understand how the human brain is structured. Now, I recognize, obviously, that the human brain is an immensely, intensely complex part of this machine. So let's strip away the complexity and simply divide the brain into three parts. Are you familiar with the expression left and right brain thinking? Everybody familiar with that broad expression? So over here, let's imagine that we have the left brain, that part of the brain that deals with language, with logic, with order, with sequence, with number, with analysis, with process. That part of the brain that is capable of reading, interpreting, and understanding information. Over here, we have the right brain. That part of the brain that is deemed to be more creative. That part of the brain that enables visualization. That part of the brain that enables us to imagine. That part of the brain that is so incredibly capable that not only can we recall past events clearly, pictorially, as if they were happening right now, but we also have the ability to imagine the future. It's that part of the brain that loves story. And in the context now of delivering a business message in particular, the right brain is all about the purpose. So when you're delivering over here the agenda for a presentation, let's say, now the left brain loves that, doesn't it? Because the left brain loves the journey you're going to take it down. The left brain loves the detail. Sorry, this is catching on. The left brain loves the detail, the journey you're going to take it down. But as you're delivering the agenda, how often do you see the agenda on a PowerPoint slide? When you're seeing the agenda, what the right brain is crying out for, or almost screaming at you, is this. Well, thank you very much, John. That's really appreciated. I want to know the journey you're going to take me down. But before I join you on the journey, why should I listen? What's in it for me? Think about when you're structuring your business messages, structuring any message at all, you need to answer this question. What's in it for me? Why should I listen? And that's so important today because your audiences really have little time. If you don't capture people's imagination quickly, they're off somewhere, not necessarily literally, but mentally. And what is it that everybody has in their presence, probably right now? What is it that everybody has in their presence right now? Yes, indeed. Shout it out. A mobile phone. A mobile phone. And what does that mobile phone enable you to do? Connect with the world. Connect with every bit of data that exists. It enables you to run your life. It enables you to do a whole host of things. And if this person up here, if you standing here are not giving the audience the reason they should listen, that comes out. Now put it away now for you because you're on nerve. Now put it away. Oh, it is off. Thank you for that. The left and right brain of what we call the thinking brain. And it's this up here, this right brain here and this left brain here. It's this that fundamentally differentiates us from every other animal on the planet. It's this that makes us the lead animal on the planet. The thinking brain, the intellect. Like a delicate operation, this, isn't it? Sitting beneath, let's imagine that is down here now, sitting beneath this intellect with a left and a right hemisphere is the emotional limbic system. Put simplistically, the thinking brain and the emotional brain. Now, why is this so important? Why is this so important? Well, firstly, let me give you a visual of what it is we've been talking about. I want you to imagine that this here is your brain stem. The reptilian brain, the most ancient part of the human brain system. Sitting on top of the brain stem, almost like a clenched fist, funnily enough, the emotional limbic system, the emotional brain, enveloped by this hugely capable, massively complex left and right intellect. Now, why is this so important? What has this got to do with us as business communicators? Let me ask you this question. How do we as humans take information in? We listen. So the sense of sound. We see it, don't we? So if there's a slide up there, you see it. That's how we take information in. We touch it, we taste it, or we smell it, the five senses. Now, if you think of how we've evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, those five senses are in effect directly connected to the reptilian brain. It's much more complex than this, but let's strip away that complexity. Connected to the reptilian brain. The first intelligence that sensory input meets in a fraction of a second is unemotional intelligence. In other words, when you have a sensory experience, when you meet somebody who's delivering information to you, let's say, is showing you PowerPoint slides up there, the first reaction you will have is an emotional reaction. Do I like the look of this person? Do I like the sound of this person? Am I able to read his slides? And if you can't read somebody's slides and they're banging on about those slides, and how many times has that happened to you in your business life? Don't tell me all the bloody time. I know that. Frequently is the answer, isn't it? All the time. When that happens to you, what happens emotionally? Negative emotional reaction? Do you then pull out your mobile phone? No, not now. Of course not. But for this fictitious person who's driven by PowerPoint, out comes the mobile phone, because you've got better things to do than have your time wasted. Negative emotional reaction. So critically, we have to engage with the emotional brain as well as the intellect. If we have an issue in the business that we run, it's that most business communicators aim their messages at the intellect. In fact, even worse than that, they aim at the left side of the intellect. Fact after fact after fact after fact after fact after fact, supported invariably by the default means, even and still today, the business communicators use to deliver information, and that is PowerPoint slides. You have to connect emotionally. And how do we connect emotionally? Then up here, you have to demonstrate to your audience that you care. You have to demonstrate to your audience that you're interested. Interested in the subject, interested in the audience. You have to demonstrate that you believe. Believe in self naturally, but critically believe in the message. Because here's a simple truth. Here's a simple truth. An audience does not believe you based on the words you use. An audience believes you based on how they feel, you feel about the words. Let me say that again, because that's such a powerful statement. An audience does not believe you based on the words you use. An audience believes you based on how they feel, you feel about the words. It's all about belief. Belief is a key component to connecting with the emotional brain. And we're going to look at some others shortly from a performance point of view. But belief is key. Now let's just explore this. Just explore this, shall we? Is it fair to say that this chair looks remarkably like the chair that each of you is sitting on? Would that be fair to say that? And there's a simple reason for that, of course, because it is the same. But it isn't. Because this chair, depending on who sits on it, has magic qualities. So I need a volunteer to help me demonstrate this. Please come up here. Come up, straight away, nice and quickly. If I ask the volunteers, I need them quickly because I don't want to run out of time. Give her a round of applause. Fantastic. Fantastic. Please sit on that chair. What's your name? Compassion. I heard you talking earlier. In fact, you asked a question in that panel discussion, didn't you, Compassion? And I thought, what a lovely, lovely name that is. My goodness me. Isn't that a fantastic name? I mean, you want somebody who's going to engage the emotional brain of the listener. Excuse me, what's your name? Compassion. And what do you... And what do the guys start to do? They go weak at the knees, do they not? And they think, oh, whatever you say, Compassion, whatever you say. I love it. I love it. I want you to imagine that this is a very frightening chair and you're very, very scared. Okay? So now you perform it. You saturate it so the audience can see you. You're very frightened. Compassion is about to perform what this chair is, this magic chair. I want you to give me some feedback in a moment. Fantastic. What about that? What is the chair? What is the chair? Stay there, Compassion. Stay there. I'm going to need you. In fact, I would like to take you home with me if the truth be known. What is the chair? How did she look? How did you read her? Say it loud. Distressed? Yes. What? Anything else? Did she look frightened at all or scared when she went down there and looked at that chair? Go, yes, absolutely. Because, that's a scary chair. Scary chair. Scary chair. This chair is freezing cold. Say it loud. Cold, freezing cold, freezing cold, freezing cold. Absolutely right. Fantastic. Let's just do one more. No, I know, no compassion. You are absolutely wonderful. I'd tell you more if all these people weren't here, Compassion. I want you to imagine this is the most luxurious chair you've ever sat on. It makes you feel wonderfully sexy. Bit more. Just look at that face. Doesn't that face say it all? What is the chair? It's an amazing chair. It's a luxurious chair. It's making her feel really good inside. Give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Compassion. Bless you. Fantastic. Brilliant. Belief in self, belief in the message. Compassion believed in the message. She believed in herself. Suddenly the chair became something that it's just an ordinary chair. It's the same chair that you're sitting on. But all of a sudden it took on different qualities. It was her belief that drove the message home. Now she could have just sat on the chair and said, this is a scary chair. And you wouldn't have believed it. Because words alone do not communicate. You have to do something with the words. Facts alone are difficult to remember. You've got to perform the facts. Communication is a performance. And yet what do we see? We've touched on this already. We see information transfers. Information transfers aimed at the left side of the thinking brain. Fact after fact after fact after fact. If you're going in for an interview, and I'm going to touch on this a little bit later, if you go in for an interview, you must not be a talking CV. The CV has the facts. You have to put something around the facts. You have to personalize the facts. You have to make the facts come alive, because people need to understand how it's going to feel to have you on board. If you're in a sales role, people need to understand. They need to feel what it's going to be like to do business with you. What is the experience going to be like if I touch Joy Uber's brand, if Joy Uber touches me? Not literally. Compassion, control yourself, please. So it's about going beyond the facts. It's about going beyond the thinking brain. So let's just look a little bit more now about communicating, particularly with the emotional brain, and then we'll move into communicating with the thinking brain and then wrap it up at the end. So let's just develop a little bit more. Now I'm going to ask you in a moment to do something that you're going to find really, really difficult to do. But I want you to do the best you possibly can. But you're going to find it really difficult in the circumstances that you find yourself in right now. Because I'm going to ask you in a moment to stand up as if you are really, really bored. No, it's not going to be easy, that, is it? It's not, is it? It's not, is it? No, it's not. No. Hold on a minute, hold on. So I'm going to ask you in a moment to stand up as if you are really bored, as if you're really fed up, as if you really don't want to be here, as if you'd rather be anywhere else than here right now. You're really bored. Oh, no, excuse me. It does get better, sir. No, honestly, it really does get better. Oh, God, that's all right then. Man, I'm working hard up here. And as you stand, really bored, really fed up, don't want to be here, I want you just to have a look around at all your fellow delegates. Just have a look at their physicality. Just have a look at their faces. Just what is the message? Not yet, not yet. God, blimey. You're really getting into character quickly, aren't you? Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Just take a look around. Have a look at each other. Just look at, oh my goodness me, there are some wonderful, I'm hoping, wonderful performances here. Some of you are doing this in a disturbingly real way, actually. That's fantastic. Please sit down. Thank you. Please sit down. My goodness me. I think I've unleashed something that could be quite dangerous. Let's change the state. Let's change the state. I want you to imagine that for the past 6 months, you've been working on a major project. You were the lead on this project, and you are about to be recognized in front of all of your peers for excellence in the delivery of this project. Excellence. And as I count to 3, it's the equivalent of your name having been called out. Now, you don't have to walk towards the stage, but imagine that you're going to walk towards the stage to receive an award for excellence. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's slightly different, was it not? Slightly different. Change state. 3rd one. Right now, you're at Heathrow Airport. Terminal 3. You're in the arrivals lounge. And a loved one that's been away from you for the past 6 months with extremely limited means of communication. So you've hardly spoken, and indeed haven't spoken for the last 2 months, is about to come through into the arrivals lounge. They don't know you're here. They don't. It's a surprise. But the arrivals lounge is packed. Absolutely packed. And you're concerned that if you don't get noticed, if you don't let them see you and they just walk through, the surprise will be gone. They'll get lost in this mass of bodies in Terminal 3, and the surprise you'd planned will be wasted. So on the count of 3, it's the equivalent of you seeing this person coming through, and you need to catch their attention. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3! Wonderful. Quite made my day, that has. The only thing that would have been better if it had been compassion coming out, that's all. Oh, fantastic. Now, important business message. Statement of the obvious, of course. Throughout that exercise, every single one of you was the same person, the same character, with the same issues, the same challenges, the same frustrations, the same opportunities, the same expectations, the same plans. Nothing changed, did it, throughout that exercise for each of you as individuals? Nothing changed. You were, throughout that exercise, the same person. So what was it that changed you? What was it that drove 3 fundamentally different performances? Information, and the way you interpreted that information, the way you sought to perform what you were being asked to do. Here's a simple but very, very powerful business message. And it's simply this, that whatever you are thinking or feeling, whatever you are thinking or feeling, whenever you are thinking or feeling it, your body will perform it. So when I planted the seed of bored, didn't want to be here, that's exactly what your body did. It took on that emotional state. When I asked you to stand as if you were about to receive an award, there was pride, there was pleasure. Your body took on that state. Your facial expression took on the state. When I asked you to be in Terminal 3, trying to catch the attention of a loved one, the excitement of that seed, that thought, the imagination of meeting somebody that brought somebody from the back of the room into my arms drove your physical performance. Whatever you're thinking or feeling, your body will perform. Now, what does that tell you when you walk into a space, whatever the space is? When you walk into a space and you know it to be a performance, it could be a recruitment interview, it could be a sales meeting, the sort of thing that Joy does all the time in her business life. It could be you seeking to sell a project, sell an idea, influence something that you want financial backing for or resource backing of some description. What state do you need to be in when you walk into that space? You need to be absolutely secure. You need to believe, absolutely believe that you have the right to be there. The right based on your experience, the right based on your expertise, the right based on your belief that you have researched this idea carefully and you believe it's in the best interests of your client, the best interests of your prospect, the best interests of your company to embrace this idea. Because if you walk into that space doubting self, feeling that maybe you don't have the right to be there because, well, I'm only an administrator, I don't really have that much experience, I'm really not sure that I should be here, what's going to happen to the performance? It's going to reflect it, absolutely. I need some more volunteers because we're going to now look at two really key performance techniques. So I need 2 volunteers. It could be a man and a lady. That would be absolutely fine. Out here, just 2 of you quickly. Then you'll see what they're going to do, and then I'll need a couple more as well. So just a couple of volunteers. That'd be perfect. These 2 here. Your turn will come. Come quickly. Come on. Give them a round of applause, everybody. You are? Mavinshire? Yep. Hi, Mavinshire. And? Toya. My goodness me, you're in for a treat, my dear chap. Yes. Now, does either of you get angry with each other? Or get angry? Toya, do you get angry? Have you got a short fuse? Can you get cross quite quickly? If somebody upsets you, if somebody messes you about, you get angry with them? Somewhat. Yeah, okay, that'll do nicely. That'll do. Somewhat's good. You two are going to have a conversation with each other. Toya, you are angry. What's it again? Say. Mavin. Toya, you are angry with Mavin. He's done something and you are really, really cross with him. In fact, you are spitting feathers furious. Okay, so that means you don't smile. You've got a lovely smile. It would melt an ice cube, but not in this session here. I want you to be really angry with him. Mavin, your job, and you've got to stay in character and you've got to stay with it, your job is to get Toya's forgiveness. Now, she might not want to grant it to you, but you've got to keep trying to get it. If you feel he's genuine, if you feel he's sincere, if you feel that he really does mean what he's saying and that he is very apologetic, by all means accept it. But if you don't, do not accept it. The issue is not whether you accept it or not. The issue is just we want to explore some stuff up here for the benefit of our friends out there. Now, the only challenge you have is that I'm going to take away from you words. You have no language whatsoever. So let's not dwell on what we don't have. Let's glory in what we do have. We have facial expression. We have gestures. We have breathing, don't we? Breathing's good. You'd agree with that, wouldn't you? Breathing's good. You are angry, really angry. So let's see that stern face, not that beautiful smile, stern face, angry. Mavin, you're seeking Toya's forgiveness. On the count of 3, I want you to get into character. On the count of 3, the scene starts. You have no words. You have no language. You only have gestures. You have breathing. I mean, you can make sound. You can do all of that. And you can go, oh. I mean, you can do that, Mavin. Of course you can. Okay, on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Let's stop there. Well done, well done, well done. Give them a round of applause. Thank you very much indeed. Well done. Well done, well done, well done, well done. I'll get a couple of people up in a moment to do another exercise. But that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? And well done. Thank you. Well done. You do angry very well, don't you? You do intensely frustrated very, very well. What did you do, Mavin, to upset us so much? Now, that's a really, really good example of what we call pure emotional brain communication. Because there was nothing, was there, for the intellect to process. Nothing at all. Pure emotional brain. What did you notice Toya do a lot of? There she was gesturing, she was looking up, she was showing frustration. She looked away from Mavin a great deal. Sometimes literally turned her back. What did Mavin have to do to try and get his message across? Because he had no words. He couldn't say please. He couldn't say, oh, come on, Toya, we've been friends for a long time. I didn't mean to do it. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Please, please. He couldn't do that because he had no words. So everything he had to do was physical. And critically, the only real way that he could get his message across, would you agree, was by looking into Toya's eyes. That's the only way he could do it. Because the communication that was really taking place was here. The power, the sheer power of eye contact. Now, we know this, don't we? In one-to-one communication, you know this. Can you imagine if you and I were having a conversation with each other and I was saying this to you? What's your name? Abby. Abby. I would say, Abby, now look, Abby, what's really important is that you understand what we have to do about this project, because it's a really critical project, Abby. And you, Abby, let me just tell you this, Abby, you are so important to this project's success. You are really very important to this project's success. And what are you thinking?
Thinking you can't be speaking to me.
Ooh, excuse me, I'm here. Ooh. It would be fatuous, wouldn't it? It just wouldn't happen. And yet, here's the simple truth. When business communicators are delivering messages, particularly to the few or the many, and especially when technology is involved, I'm a great technology fan, but technology can absolutely get in the way of human engagement. It can absolutely get in the way of giving somebody an experience they will enjoy, an experience they will want to talk about, an experience that they will share with others. It can get in the way. And what do you see? You see people here. Here's my laptop. You see, I've got to bring up the next slide. So I'm keying in the next slide. And now I'm delivering the message and getting terribly intimate with this inanimate object called a Dell computer. No. You have to deliver the message out into the audience. I've got to engage you. I've got to connect with you. I've got to cause you to want to listen. And I can't do that well if my eye contact is into the technology, or even worse, if somebody is looking at the screen here and saying, what I want to talk to you about this morning, sorry about that, this afternoon, of course, is selling brand you. Now, excuse me, where is the relationship right now? Eye contact. So here's a rule. It's a rule that you must follow. Whenever you're speaking to the eyes of an audience member whenever you are speaking. So it's okay to break eye contact, but do it in silence. Here's another key one. 2 more volunteers, please. Male and female always works, but it could be 2 ladies, it could be too many, it doesn't matter. What about here, right on the front row? Definitely, yeah. Round of applause, please. Round of applause. Do you do angry?
Yes, I will do.
Yeah, oh my God, Joe, I think you're in for a torrid ride. Right, we're going to do exactly the same, but this time I am going to give you the benefit of some language. You are angry. What's your name, sorry?
Tim.
Tim?
Yeah, Tim.
Tim. Oh, well, that's an easy one for me, isn't it? Thank you, Tom. Tim, you are angry with joy. But each of you has 4 words. So this is the total vocabulary in your lexicon. 4 words. Yes, no, oh, well. Yes, no, oh, well. Now, you can use combinations of those. You can say, oh, well, well, well. Well, well, well. That's all you've got. Okay. Oh, no, yes, well. Yes, no, oh, well. You are seeking forgiveness from Tim. Tim, you are angry. You are furious. You are very, very unhappy. No physical contact, please. I mean, you know, within the bounds of reasonable behavior. 3, 2, 1.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes. Oh.
Oh, well.
No,
Okay.
no. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. No.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Oh, well.
Well,
No.
Well.
No. Oh, well. No.
Yes. Well.
No. Oh, well, no.
Yes.
Oh, so well done. Oh, good work, Joy. Good work. I mean, high marks to Joy for energy and commitment and really trying to get the message across. Powerful business message here. Really powerful business message. Let's just imagine this. Was that clear that Tim wasn't very happy and Joy was trying to say sorry? It was clear, wasn't it? We had the physicality to some extent, good energy from Joy, Tim turning his back a little bit. But it was the tone of voice, wasn't it, that helped us? Tone of voice. Let's imagine that I'd said to the 2 of you, just for argument's sake, at the start of that session, just imagine this. I'd said, okay, guys, I want you to come out here and have a conversation with each other. And you're thinking, well, that'll be easy. We have conversations all the time. So imagine now that you're standing there, and I said, right, I want you to have a conversation with each other, but you've only got 4 words, yes, no, oh, well, off you go. How easy would it have been for the 2 of you to create as convincing a scene as we have just experienced? Something's missing, isn't it? It would be a challenge, that, wouldn't it? Because if I say it's you and I say this to you, yes. Well. See, you're now interesting. You're having to compensate for my neutrality by putting some emotion in there because you're trying to tease it out of me. What are we saying here? We're saying that the reason that scene was able to work and the reason it would be exceedingly difficult to make it work without the context is that without context, communication lacks impact. Now, what is the context for a business communication? Two things I want you to think about. Here's the context. From today, moving forward, every business conversation you have, any conversation you have, the context is two things. Number one, how do you feel about the message? Not what do I think about the message. The big mistake that business communicators make is that they focus on what they think about it. It becomes an intellectual exercise. It becomes an information transfer, driven often by busy, detailed, over-complex PowerPoint slides that nobody can read. No. If you want to connect with people, if you want to engage with people, if you want to give them an experience they're going to enjoy, then you have to think about, how do I feel about this message? And here's the other question. How do I want the audience to feel as it receives the message? Emotional contagion. If you want the audience to be excited about what you're talking about, what must you be? You must be excited. If you want the audience to be concerned at this development, what must you be? You must be concerned. The words alone don't do it. Good morning. My name is John Bennett. I'm really excited to be here today. In fact, I've been very excited, almost beside myself, quite frankly, ever since Joy Uber asked me if I would like to come here several weeks ago. And as the days have got closer, that excitement has reached the fever pitch that it's now at. Oh yeah. You have to be the emotion if you're going to connect with the emotional brain of your listener. You have to be the emotion. Let's think now about connecting intellectually. Talked a little bit earlier about facts alone don't communicate. I'm going to deliver now 20 pieces of information. 20 pieces of information. At the end of which, I want you to listen. Don't write them down because obviously it becomes an easy exercise then. So I'm going to deliver 20 pieces of information, at the end of which I'm going to ask you some questions. So here are the 20 pieces of information. Container, green paint, power drill, door, caravan, Rolls Royce, Tom Odell, orange shorts, baseball cap, cigar. Beyonce, orange bikini, Hello Magazine, Kit Kat, torch, earrings, straw hat, feather, parrot, leg. We'll leave the 20 facts there. Let me ask you a question. How many of you, with confidence, with certainty, could answer this question by putting their hand up? And that is, in 3 weeks' time, you'll be able to deliver those pieces of information in the order in which I've just delivered them, confidently, with certainty. Now, was that a hand up, my darling, or was that a scratch of the head? Because if this had been an auction house, you have just bought this table here. Sold to the lady scratching her head. Now, 3 weeks is that's a long time. So what about 3 days' time? 3 days is less. I mean, there's less going on in your life in 3 days compared to 3 weeks. Now, 3 days is still a long time, isn't it? How about 3 hours? Could you be delivering this round about 5 to 7 tonight? Tricky, isn't it? Now, isn't that interesting? Because you are all bright, intelligent, highly capable people. You have intellects way above the average, way above. And yet I've just delivered 20 pieces of information that you can't now remember. And that is the challenge when you stand up here delivering fact after fact after fact after fact after fact, supported often by busy PowerPoint slides that nobody can read. They don't remember the facts. So let me do something now that will enable you to remember the facts. I want you to imagine that here is an enormous container. I want you to see this container. See how wide it is. See how high it is. This container here is full of green paint. The only way that I can get into this container is to use a drill. And I drill into the container. And as I burst the inner skin of the container, the paint under enormous pressure bursts out all over a door. It's a door to a caravan. The caravan is being towed by a Rolls-Royce. Now you notice this, Tim, because you've never seen a Rolls-Royce towing a caravan. It is a strange sight. You've never seen that before, so you notice it. The Rolls-Royce is being driven by Tom O'Dell. Tom O'Dell is wearing orange shorts, a baseball cap, and bizarrely, for a young man, smoking a cigar. Now, let's just reinforce those points, just for illustration purposes. What's here? What's in the container? How do I access it? With a drill. When it bursts out under pressure, it goes onto a what? A door to a what? Being towed by? Driven by? Wearing? On his head? Smoking? Indeed so. Sitting next to Tom O'Dell. Hold on, wait. Sitting next to Tom O'Dell is Beyonce. Ho, ho, ho! What about that? Wearing an orange bikini. On her lap, a copy of the latest edition of Hello magazine. Open at a page selling Kit Kat. In her right hand is a torch, shining on these long, dangly earrings. On her head is a straw hat. Coming out of the straw hat is a feather. The image gets even more bizarre, because on the top of the feather is a parrot standing on one leg. Let's just do the whole thing again. What's here? What's in the container? How do I access the paint? All over a door to a, being towed by, driven by, wearing, on his head, smoking, sitting next to Tom, Beyonce, wearing, on her lap, selling, in her right hand, shining on her head, coming out of the straw hat, on top of the feather, on top of the parrot. Well done. Now I should at this point apologize. Because you're not going to want to remember that. But you will. And when you do remember it, you'll think, John Bennett, for God's sake. But I'll tell you this. Think of the image, think of the images. You'll remember the story. Because what I did is I put those 20 pieces of information that seemingly were completely unrelated, I put them into a story. A story that had movement, a story that had gesture, a story that enabled you to imagine it, to see. You could see, could you not? You know what's here, don't you? You know what's here. You know what's going on here, don't you? What's the product? It's a magazine, and what's it selling what? Kit Kat. You know that. Just that alone tells you. The more you can put your facts into a story, the more you can wrap story around your facts, the more the facts are going to be remembered. Facts alone are difficult to remember. Let's wrap this up. What about your personal story? When you're putting your personal story together, your brand you, brand compassion, brand Toya, brand Tim, brand Mavic. When you're putting your story together, your brand, think about these 5 questions. Now, I'm going to have to get you to write these down because I don't use PowerPoint slides. PowerPoint slides get in the way, for me, of effective communication. I want you to think of these 5 questions. Number 1, who am I? Number 2, why am I here? I'm going to repeat these for you. Who am I? Why am I here? How am I unique? How can I make a dramatic difference? Why does it matter? Who am I? Think of who you are in the context now of your values. What it is that you care about. What it is that drives you. What it is that influences. What it is that causes you to get up in the morning. What it is that causes you to want to be here today on a Friday and maybe again tomorrow on a Saturday. What is it that drives you? What is it that you care about? Who am I? Not John Bennett, father, grandfather, husband, brother, not in that factual context necessarily, but what are the values? What are the values that have been given to you by your parents that you seek to inculcate and influence your children with? What do you care about? Because quite often we suppress that and we stick to the facts. And actually, when you're talking to somebody, particularly in the context of an interview, for example, people want to know who you are. They want to know who they're going to work with. Why am I here? What is your purpose? What is it that drives you? Why am I here? Who am I? Why am I here? How am I unique? What are your skills? What is it that, in your view, differentiates you? What is it that you're going to bring to whomsoever you're talking to? How can I make a dramatic difference? What is the one big thing that you're going to give this employer? What is the one big thing that you stand on? What is the platform that you stand on? What is the one big thing that really matters to you? And why does it matter? Why does it matter? Here's a story for you. I'm interviewing you, let's say. And I want to feel at the end of this interview that if I don't recruit you, I'm going to lose out. That's what I want to feel. I want you to make me feel that. And I want to feel that if I don't recruit you, what's your name?
Larry.
Say again?
Larry.
Larry. If I don't recruit you, Larry, I'm going to be thinking, I'm going to lose out here. I'm going to lose out because there's a talented young man and I need this guy in my business. I'm going to lose out because if I don't recruit him, he could go to my competition. That is why it matters. That's why it matters. In other words, a recruitment interview is not a walking CV. You are not a walking CV. The CV gets you through the door. The CV maybe gets you through the door, but that's not what you're about. You're not about your CV. You are about who you are. You're about what you care about. You're about the platform on which you stand. You're about what drives you. We started this session by saying communication is a performance. I wanted you to remember 3 things, and the 3 things that have characterized what we've been talking about. The 3 things are very simply this: words alone do not communicate. Facts alone are difficult to remember, and emotion is the key to impact. If we have time, I'm happy to answer any questions. I think we might just be slightly out of time, Joy?
Very good. A round of applause, please, for John.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John. Thank you very much.
A sitting ovation, thank you.
Sitting ovation.
A standing ovation from Compassion, everybody.
You're feeling that? Not that it's needy or anything. So we do have a few minutes for interviews. Interview in my head. We still have a few minutes for questions. Anybody want to ask questions? Anybody, be bold. Okay, let's start with you.
Okay.
You want the job, Larry, do you?
Sure.
Okay, you got it.
Let's talk. Yeah. Yes. My quick question is, when you say you're in an interview situation, what are the practical tips that you will give people to how to like convey the kind of emotion across the interview, so that like prospective employer will be thinking exactly how you just described.
Okay, great question. You know, when you're talking to anybody, you need to understand who you're talking to. You need to understand your audience. So when you go for a job, for example, you need to really understand what it is they're looking for. Why are they looking to fill this position? Why are they looking to fill it? What can you find out about the business? So maybe they're expanding. Maybe they've just taken on something that's new and they need skill. What you need to understand is exactly what they're looking for. And then you tailor your CV to what they're looking for. So you should not have a single CV. You should have a CV for any opportunity that you're going for. Any opportunity. It has to be tailored to the opportunity, because the language in the CV has to intrigue, has to interest, has to excite the reader. When you go there, you present yourself in terms of who am I and how am I unique. In other words, your skill sets, your attitude, what characterizes you, the experience you've had in previous jobs, you tailor that to what you know they are looking for. Remember, when you're delivering a message to an audience, it's only ever about the audience. It's not about you. The more you tailor your experience, and the more you surrender to the emotion, in other words, I don't mean you run around and like a banshee and get excited, but I mean that you genuinely believe that you are right for this organization and for the job they're seeking to fill. Because the more that you feel that, the more the listener will feel it. The more likely you are to get to the next stage at least. Does that make sense?
Right.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Okay.
John, I thought that was an incredible presentation.
Thank you.
But we can leave here all excited, and when you go back to the real world, it's like scary again, like, oh my word, that presentation was insane. But now, what are the basic steps to be able to present the way you just presented? Like, let's give me the 1, 2, 3 of this is what you must do, and then you should hopefully get close or to where you're at.
Well, let's think about a presentation then in front of a group of people. The only way that you can walk into a space feeling totally secure, because that's right at the key. I believe in myself and I believe in the value of my message. Not in an arrogant way, not in a cocky way, but that's what I believe. And what you see is what I believe. So the only way you can walk into a space with certainty is to be absolutely prepared. You need to understand not just what you're doing, but what your audience needs. The big mistake a lot of business communicators make is they deliver the message they want to deliver. I see this all the time in my corporate work. They deliver the message they want to deliver. They deliver the message their corporation wants them to deliver. No, that's wrong. You deliver the message the audience needs to hear. You deliver the message the audience wants to hear. So you need to do some research. You need to understand the audience. You need to be absolutely prepared for that audience. So you need to do the research. You then need to prepare the message for that audience. And the third thing you need to do is you need to know. Not think you know, but know you know what's coming next. So if you're using PowerPoint slides, and I'm not really anti-PowerPoint, I'm anti the dependency on PowerPoint, and most people don't know how to put PowerPoint together. That's why you see lots of writing on slides, lots of words. Big mistake. PowerPoint should have impact. PowerPoint should support the message. PowerPoint should enhance and add value to the message. It shouldn't be the damn message. That's the big mistake. So if you're using PowerPoint slides, you need to know what's coming next. Not think you know, but know. And the more that you flow, the more you are perceived as credible. Flow equals credibility. Flow equals credibility. And you can only flow when you know. Do you like that? It's quite poetic, that, isn't it? Yeah. Do you like that?
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? In other words, research, preparation for the audience, the message they need to hear, research, rehearse it. There is no substitute for knowing you know. Does that help?
Thank you. Just 2 more questions.
Thank you. Thank you, John. That was an amazing message. I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball in there for you. Hopefully you can catch it. My question is, well, you delivered a message and it was very emotive because we're talking about communication, we're talking about connecting with people. What advice would you have if you're delivering a message that's very technical? For instance, you're talking about pipe work, pumps, and all that good stuff.
Pumps,
Yes. Pipe work.
Yes.
So basically oil and gas equipment, for instance.
Yes.
And you've got to deliver it to a group of people and you want them to engage with you. How would you go about ensuring that the message gets transferred in that way?
Okay, great question. I would imagine that's an issue for quite a few people, isn't it? When you've got a technical message to deliver, a factual message to deliver. Let's just keep a perspective on what I've been doing up here. The left brain really does matter. So when you deliver, what you have to think about is a whole brain performance. So you have to deliver the right facts. That's the point I was just making to our friend back there. It's about understanding the audience. So it's the right facts. What are the facts the audience needs to hear? The right facts. But it's also, why are those facts important? In other words, what will the impact be if we don't do this? What will the consequences be? What's the bigger picture stuff around why you're saying this is important? Are there any stories that you can tell that help people visualize what you're talking about? Because you could tell stories. You could tell a story of, an example of a customer who's recently had these pumps fitted. Now, here's the thought. Why does anybody need a pump? You don't wake up in the morning, do you, thinking, do you know what, I think I'll pop over to Brent Cross and I'll get a couple of pumps. Yeah, I mean, you don't, do you? Why do people need pumps? Because they've got a problem. Because they need to do something. Why have they got a problem? Why do they need to do it? What will the consequences be if it isn't done? And why this particular pump? So think left brain, of course. Think right brain, the reason why it's important. Stories, but also you can still show commitment, you can still show belief, you can still deliver with energy, even though you're talking about a subject that might on the surface appear to be quite factual, maybe even dull. Ask Joy about that. She sells IT. IT is boring. Nobody is interested in IT. I speak colourfully. People are not interested in IT. What are people interested in? Exactly. They're interested in what IT does. They're interested in what IT enables. They're interested in what IT can do for them that they need to have done because without it, it's getting in the way. Nobody's really interested in IT. They're interested in the solution, the outcome, the output.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Brilliantly answered. One more. That's the last.
Thank you.
Yeah, you said an audience believes in you based on how they feel about your message.
Yes.
What if you don't believe in that message? What if it's something you've been told to do? How do you put across that message so that, they feel the message when you don't believe in it?
Compassion, did you set your friend up to ask that question? That is difficult. Now, and here's as honest as I can be with that question. There is no substitute, let me say this, there is no substitute for belief. Belief in self, belief in the message. If you really don't believe in the message, then you have a choice. And either you don't deliver it, or you do deliver it because you believe actually the choice is a very, very limited one and you want to keep the job. And therefore, and I almost hesitate to say this because it's terribly difficult, this, you either have to fake it or you have to find the nugget in the message that you can believe in and almost skip over what you don't believe in. One of the real challenges, imagine you're a team leader. I'm a team leader. Here's my team. Here's the big mistake I hear team leaders making a lot. I've been told by Joy, my CEO, that we have to implement this new process. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. But we have to implement it. And I fought against it, but we have to implement it. And so I now come into the team meeting. Here's my team. And I say, listen, guys, you know I don't believe in this stuff, don't you? You know my stance. You know I don't believe in it. But, well, we've got no choice. We've got to implement it. But, frankly, I don't believe in it. What is the likelihood of success in the implementation of that process? Frankly, nil. What I have to do is I have to understand the reason why it's so important to the organization. I have to understand that. And I have to buy into it. It's what we call collective cabinet responsibility, really, isn't it? Even though I don't believe in it, I have a choice. I either leave the organization, or if I'm going to stay, I have to buy into it. Does that help you? There is no substitute for belief, so therefore you've got to find out why it's important and then deliver it.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John. Thank you.